All right, let's dive into this explainer. We're going to unpack a fascinating and totally invisible war that is happening right under our noses. Every single time you connect to a website, this complex, high-speed negotiation happens in the background. And as our automation gets smarter, well, these digital bouncers are getting significantly more ruthless. To get a grip on this, here's our roadmap. First, the CAPTCHA challenge explained. 2, why websites block traffic. 3, unmasking TCP network behavior. 4, proxies and the automation toolkit. 5, agentic AI meets antibot. And finally, best practices for automation. So, before we get into the heavy tech, we really have to start with the most fundamental question of web data collection. Why do bots get blocked in the first place? And honestly, how do websites even know they aren't talking to a human? It's kind of wild when you think about just how incredibly fast the internet operates. Let's kick things off with Section 1, the CAPTCHA challenge explained. Okay, here's the absolute crucial takeaway. A CAPTCHA isn't just about you clicking on, blurry pictures of crosswalks or traffic lights. It's actually a complex mechanism designed to generate a cryptographic mathematical response token. This CAPTCHA challenge response, that is the real golden ticket. It's submitted after the puzzle is solved. Without that valid token, the gates to search results, APIs, and checkouts, they just stay slammed shut. It all follows a strict 7-step lifecycle. Check this out. You send a request, the system detects a tiny behavioral anomaly, and boom, the challenge triggers. Once it's solved, that temporary encrypted token is minted. The server validates it, and only then are you granted access. It's an incredibly tight, heavily guarded gateway, and the whole shebang happens in mere seconds. Which brings us to Section 2, why websites block traffic. So why build these digital fortresses? Well, because websites are literally constantly under siege. They have to mitigate massive server loads and malicious abuse. We're talking brute force credential stuffing, relentless spam campaigns, fake account creation, and those devastating DDoS attacks. They absolutely must protect the resources, but unfortunately, this creates a massive wall for entirely ethical use cases, like legitimate data scraping or AI research. But how do they spot a bot in milliseconds? Websites evaluate hundreds of tiny signals right at the gates. Are too many requests hitting at once? Is the IP from a massive data center instead of, say, a quiet suburban neighborhood? Is the browser missing basic JavaScript execution? Basically, if your traffic lacks that messy, authentic human touch, you are instantly handed a CAPTCHA. Notice the massive trade-off developers face here. When you're collecting data, speed is everything, right? But if you maximize that speed, like sending 50 simultaneous requests from a single IP address, you're basically waving a giant red flag. I mean, it is physically impossible for a human to click 50 links in the same millisecond. That kind of speed is an absolute guaranteed way to trigger a defensive block. Let's dig a bit deeper into the tech weeds with Section 3, unmasking TCP network behavior. At the very foundation of internet communication is TCP, or the Transmission Control Protocol. And this is where websites play their best detective. Before a single piece of web page data is even transferred, your device does this sort of structural handshake to establish a TCP connection. Modern anti-bot systems, they look right here at the foundation, way before they even bother checking your browser fingerprints. They are analyzing highly technical signals. We're talking connection timing, packet behavior, TLS fingerprints, and latency. Think about it for a second. Humans are erratic. We hesitate. We scroll weirdly. If your automated connection behaves with identical robotic precision across thousands of requests, without that slightly clumsy human latency, well, the server instantly knows it's artificial. So how do developers navigate this minefield? Let's look at Section 4, proxies and the automation toolkit. This brings us to proxy servers. I find this part so fascinating. A proxy essentially acts as a digital middleman. By using residential proxies, developers route their requests through multiple, genuine, everyday home IP addresses. It allows the automation to blend seamlessly into the crowd of real organic traffic, making it vastly harder for websites to justify a block. But actually, scratch that, here is a really crucial distinction to keep in mind. Proxies aren't some magic key that solves CAPTCHAs for you. They are preventative tools. They're designed to keep your overall traffic profile looking healthy and human-like, which drastically reduces the chances of ever seeing a CAPTCHA in the first place. Now, when data collection scales up, developers turn to unblockers. These are comprehensive managed API services. Instead of you manually juggling rotating IPs, faking browser fingerprints, rendering complex JavaScript, and managing session cookies, the unblocker basically acts like a VIP concierge. It automates all that heavy lifting in the background and smoothly returns clean data. All right, let's jump to the absolute cutting edge. Section 5, Agentic AI meets Antibot. Unlike standard AI chatbots that just sit there passively waiting for a prompt, agentic AI is proactive. It acts as an independent digital worker. It can plan a sequence of actions, use tools, make decisions on the fly, and navigate multi-step workflows across the web entirely on its own. It's a real game changer. And here is where worlds collide. Because these AI agents are built to interact with websites exactly like we do, comparing product prices across stores, aggregating dynamic data, doing deep research, they're out there in the wild right now, slamming face first into the exact same CAPTCHAs and anti-bot systems we've been talking about. Which leads to this amazing paradox of agentic AI. Even the smartest, most advanced supercomputer needs to be artificially slowed down. If an AI navigates a site with peak machine efficiency, it immediately outs itself as a bot. We literally have to teach cutting-edge AI how to hesitate and act a little bit clumsy, just like a real human. Let's pull all this together in our final segment, Section 6, Best Practices for Automation. Instead of aggressively trying to brute force a website's protections, the secret to long-term success actually relies on respect. This means honoring a website's terms of service, intelligently limiting how fast you send requests, caching data so you aren't bothering the server twice, and retrying failures with genuine human patience. When you combine these ethical practices with modern tools, like realistic browser automation and responsibly managed residential proxy networks, you end up with incredibly reliable data collection. It minimizes friction, gets you the data you need, and ensures the internet remains stable for everyone else. This leaves us with one massive, lingering question. As our AI agents get incredibly smart, perfectly mimicking human latency, TCP behavior, and browser fingerprints, how will these digital fortresses adapt when they literally can no longer tell us apart from the bots? It's a fascinating frontier for sure. Anyway, I hope this explainer gave you a new lens on the invisible web. Keep learning, and we'll catch you in the next one.